And welcome back to the channel. Today is April 11th, 2024. It is Thursday. Let's go ahead and get to our market review. A lot has happened since our last review. There's a couple of news announcements that have certainly changed things in the market. And let's go ahead and get started with AUD USD. So on the daily time frame, what ended up happening? We got a massive reversal to the downside based off the CPI news that dropped on Wednesday. I saw this candle form. There is a massive 1 minute candle somewhere in the chart, and someone can look that up, but there is a massive 1 minute candle that happened right here. From the daily time frame, again, this is why time frame correlation is important. Looking at Wednesday's PA, we had only this close right here. And with this close, from what we had in terms of price displayed, whatchamacallit, we were still looking for longs. Why? Because we had just broken out of this. The confirmation candle did not come through. Instead, we got a reversal candle down to the downside based off the back end of news. The question we want to be asking ourselves at this point is, what clues on the other time frames could I have looked for, not from a structural level, but from PA, that could have been indicative of price potentially having it go to the downside prior to the news? I'll get into that on the H4 once we cover it. But as of right now, what ended up happening with AU is we're back at the consolidation range. And next thing you know, Thursday was a buy day, right? Because Wednesday was definitely a close with a short. Now, given I'm recording late, Friday's candle has already opened and Thursday's candle has closed bullish. If I was to anticipate anything, I'd be quite frank, I would anticipate market to probably not move a lot. Consolidation, I wouldn't even be using these structures to try to decide as to where market would go, right? So I would definitely be working right now with the lower time frames. The week has pretty much resetted itself. We started from this point right here, and now we're all the way back down here. What's going to happen? We are not sure. However, closer to this area, we can come back to this area. We're likely to consolidate now. Let's see how the rest of April does roll out. That's going to be AU. Let's go ahead and move on to USD CAD. USD CAD, we had a massive run. Again, what was looking long ended up going short, and what was looking short ended up going long. So same thing here. USD CAD, we see the massive rally, and we see from the daily time frame, market creates a temporary tweezer top, indecision, and then we get this massive push. Again, clues to this would not have been good enough on this time frame. It would have been very difficult to read. That's why we have the lower time frames to assist us with what bull market will do next, as this is just a reflection of the progressions of days and weeks. We see the same similar aspect on UJ. Here's one clue I will point out on UJ from the daily time frame that could have been useful, and I truly believe that this could have been to one's aid, right? But as the market continued to go up off the movement, this candle right here and this candle right here are pretty indicative of how they formed in terms of quick shifts to the upside. And we have several consecutive wicks here. This becomes confusing because of the top ones that are minor, but these two major spikes are slightly important, I would say, given that the clues that we would have already collected enough orders. There's enough buyers here because sellers did not surpass, and we continued upwards. Again, that move came in fast because it was related to the CPI. Now, let's go ahead and move over to the H4 time frame. Go ahead and get that pulled up. And let's start with AU. So with AU, and here's where the interesting stuff happens. Let's just zoom in a little bit. So right prior to the massive drop, we come off of the back end of this higher low, which was extremely confusing. Market continued to go up, and then this candle was really the indication that something had happened, right? We see it here, and here we see it multiple times. But again, these massive wicks thrown into the upside. After a while, here it happened quite fast, but after a while, the result was bearish, right? And we see that happen right here. So this candle really signaled something. Again, here we have a hanging man, very small hanging man, but we do. Marketing consolidates right prior to the news. Volume is basically sorted out over here. Boom. Back to the downside. Currently, as we are basically retracing, but this is a huge move. I believe it's about 100 to 120 pips, if I'm not mistaken. That's quite a lot for AU. Again, moving for the end of the week, very likely to consolidate. I'd work with the lower time frames, but this was the clue. This is something that I personally overlooked, did not put together. That's why it's important to look at these minor clues that market leads. Like, for example, these two candles and the ways that the wicks were formed and the way that we get another test with bodies, right? So two tested areas. This led to the push to the upside. That's key. Again, another key thing. One minor spike, another spike, and another spike, and they all form this really roundish hook. Really a 3-pin pattern. Again, these sensitive things and these small things count, especially on the H4 time frame. They do count. It will not always work, but when you see something line up very perfectly well or something stand out, that's when you got to pay attention because the market is telling you something, and it's not going to be one candle alone, right? As you can see here, we get that candle and we get at least another few candles before it happens. Here we have two candles. Here we have more than two candles. This takes time, right? So again, the patience factor when running with these higher time frames is crucial, very crucial. It takes a while to get used to it, to be honest, because we're so accustomed to just being on a go, go, go mindset versus having the discipline and the patience for things to play out. Going to USD CAD, from the run, let's just see if we can find any immediate clues. Really, I think that the candle that stands out the most is slightly confusing, but there is one minor thing that I would say is important, and this is more relevant on the intraday time frame, or sorry, on the hourly time frame. And these three consecutive drops, as they have formed very, very well, the way that they formed, and the fact that we get this indecision candle with technically a longer, slightly longer bottom, and it runs right in back into this level where there was swift movement. And again, the other interesting thing is that I stated this on Wednesday, but I stated from UJ that a swift movement was to come. So market gets really quiet, and all of a sudden, boom, we get this due to economic events, which is what moves the market, right? It's what moves the market, and that's what we as traders aim to strive for, is to get aligned with those biases and be able to read these things. These things that I am pointing out are the things that we have to keep in mind besides just coming to the chart and just looking at it, right? Because that's oftentimes what happens. So jotting down these clues to contextualize the puzzle is what makes trading. That's what gives someone an edge over somebody else. Moving over to UJ, again, the bearish statements that I said that completely invalidated. They ended up going long. And again, we see here clearly on UJ what happens. We get this very quiet sector of the market, and all of a sudden we get the momentum. And again, we do get at least one clue, right? We do get the clue as how market fails to break this level of support. We get this hammer candle right here, and then market, as you can see, it rounds itself off then to the upside. All these other things matter, right? And then being at the chart around the areas of where market will move, which is within the sessions, right? So this happened right in New York. This right here, it probably happened sometime in Asia, because New York is not too far away from London, so London was just dead momentum, right? London was just dead momentum. There would have been no action there, and it's just like if you're just waiting and only looking at the lower time frames, how you would have pointed this out, right? How would that stand out? So time frame correlation is just a really key, difficult aspect to understand. It takes time, and that's where the analysis really, you have to start really looking for things. Just like if you work with data, when you work with data, oftentimes the answers that you're looking for is on the data, so you have to look at the data set itself, consult the data. There you will find what it is that you're looking for. But anyways, that is it for today, guys. It's your boy Bliss. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a great Thursday night and safe trading.